Hi everyone, Shashank at iQuanta, working with your RCs, helping you to get the nitty gritties of different isms, different genres, so that we can learn more about various topics, theories, principles, ideals, and we don't feel left out when these kind of topics come across in our paper, right? Today's topic is about fatalism. Now, many of you must have heard of it, right? Fatalism. Now, it's good or bad, hardly matters. Always remember one thing: whenever we are going across with, RC type of questions, right? I would want you to have a very neutral stand about what exactly is going to happen, right? Don't feel that yes, something is going to come across which is going to maybe you don't know anything about it. Maybe the topic is very difficult. Hardly matters, right? The only thing that you have to remember is you have to remain within the scope of what is happening out there, right? And that is the only thing that is going to save you, right? Okay, so let's move on with today's topic. So today what we have got fatalism. What does it say? The first paragraph, it says fatalism, the belief that events are predetermined and inevitable, right? What do you mean by predetermined and inevitable? Predetermined is almost like something which is already written, right? It is already, they have already said, it is already set, okay? It's not going to change, fine. And inevitable, what does it mean, inevitable? Inevitable is something that cannot be what? Avoided, fine. So we can say unavoidable, okay? So always remember, when you're reading the RC, you should always keep a register with you, because when you're practicing, there are umpteenth number of words coming across which might have different meanings. Word usage has always been an important part of any entrance, right? So out here itself, you have to be very careful. What are the words you're reading on, and what do they mean as per the context given, right? So, what does it say? Fatalism, the belief that events are predetermined and inevitable, has haunted human, which means like this is not a positive thing. We are talking about fatalism, right? It has always been there, right? And it is to our horror, right? It is something which is scary, right? Fine. Thought since antiquity. Antiquity, what does the antiquity stand for? Of course, it talks about something which is since long, right? Since long. So it is not a new thing. It has been happening throughout, right? Throughout centuries, right? So we are talking about ancient times. Ancient tragedies. Tragedies, we are talking about those books, stories, right? From Oedipus to the Mahabharata, reveal a recurring theme. Recurring means which is repeating, right? Which is always repeating. So to repeat. So it is always repeating the theme. Individuals may strive to alter their fate. So we feel that in every case we have seen that people have tried. So strive is basically trying. Okay. So where do I write? I write it out here. Try. Okay. So they are trying to alter their fate, change their fate, yet their efforts ironically hasten. Their efforts are ironically hasten. Hasten means what? The word has come across from haste, which means quick. Okay, so hasten would mean quicken. Okay, to make something fast. Yet their efforts ironically hasten the very outcomes they fear. Oh my god. Okay, nowadays I have heard of this law called as Murphy's law or something like that, somewhat near to it, right? Fatalism, though, it says that if we try, people try to, there are many people who would try to, you know, um, alter the outcomes, right? Alter their fate, their destiny. But what happens? Instead of getting changed, what happens? The outcome they fear, that they feel that this is what is going to happen, actually happens quickly. It happens more quickly, right? While fatalism may seem pessimistic, okay, so after all these, of course, we can see fatalism as pessimistic. We can have a pessimistic view. We might see it in a negative light, right? It's persistence. Persistence, what does it mean when I say persistence? It is something like, something which is going on, a resolution, right? uh, Suggests it satisfies a deep psychological need. Okay, so they're this time, if you look at it, the idea is changing a bit, right? We have been talking about negative about fatalism, but in this line we are actually talking about that it does some kind of help. How? It satisfies a deep psychological need to locate meaning in suffering and inevitability in chaos. What does that mean? It helps on finding a meaning in the suffering. Fine. So when you suffer, you are learning something. You're trying to learn a new meaning, a new definition of yourself, maybe something like that. And inevitability in chaos. So when there is chaos, we can actually see or learn that some things are inevitable. It is unavoidable, right? So this is what it teaches us. Okay, fine. So we have got the picture more of like what it exactly does. What does it teach? How does it uh, work in our life, right? Let's move on to the next one. What does it say? This one says, uh, philosophers have long wrestled with the tension between fatalism and human agency. Okay, philosophers, we understand, right? Have long wrestled. Wrestled means struggled, in this case, struggled with the tension between fatalism and human agency. Fatalism and human agency. Human agency, what does it mean? Agency out here means action. Okay, so agency, another meaning is action. See how the word usage changes as per the context, right? So what happens? People, they act, right? But just think of a person who is actually into who believes in fate, right? He says like, oh, everything is predetermined, why should I act upon it, right? So of course there's a big tension out here, right? So fatalism, somehow it seems that fatalism is talking about passivity. Passivity is like inactivity, right? And then again human activity. So there is a tension out there whether we should act or not, right? Stoics defend, you know what are stoics, right? Stoics, no? Stoics are those people who are like, I would say, emotionless, right? They feel that all the hardships should be taken, should be endured, right, without any emotions. So I can call them as poker face or emotionless. Emotionless to what kind? Pain and hardship. Okay, emotionless to pain and hardships. Right. So this is what we have about it. Let's move on. Stoics defend resignation to fate. Resignation to fate means what? When you are resignation to fate, which means like, am I going towards it or am I going away from it? So resignation is basically going away from it. So more of out here resignation would be something to do with um, uh, endurance. When you are enduring something, fine, it can be endurance, or else it can be something to do with your reaction to it. Okay, to fate as a rational posture. Rational means something which is, it's good, it is as per the logic. Okay, posture out here means something to do with attitude. So as per stoics, the people who are stoics, they believe that if there is uh, if you're talking about fate, if there is any talk about fate, what you should do, you should be quite resigned to it. Okay, which means you should be very patient about it, you should be very you should endure it. Okay, that would be the best thing to do, that would be the best way of reacting towards your situation. While existentialists like Sartre castigated fatalism as self-deception. So of course when I see this word while, I automatically make the point that existentialists like Sartre, they would of course be going opposite of what has been already said, that Stoics have said, right? So Stoic is almost like a critic, sorry, is a proponent, fine. While existentialists like Sartre, they are totally opposite to it, right? So they castigated. What can be the castigated part says? So castigated is something that comes across with disapproval, strong disapproval, right? So they are disapproving. Fine. They, as in Sartre. Sartre disapproved fatalism as self-deception. So he feels that it is nothing but you're deceiving yourself, right? You're telling yourself you're living in an illusion. You're just telling yourself that yes, you are doing the right thing, but you're deceiving yourself. Okay. A denial of freedom. If you remember, when we did existentialism, we talked about that existentialists, they are like, they are gung ho about freedom, right? So a denial of freedom. So they feel that a person, if he's fatalist, he's actually not free. He's not free to act or say anything, right? In modern times, neuroscience complicates the debate. Okay, so now what happens? Now that science has come across the modern world, okay, it has complicated this debate. What is the debate? The debate between fatalism and human agency, right? If choices are merely the product of brain chemistry and neural pathways, okay, so as per this debate, as per the science, that if choices are just nothing but product of outcome of brain chemistry and neural pathways, the nerve and all that, brain, the chemistry and everything, then free will may itself be an illusion. So they say, like, if that is so, then even free will, forget about fatalism, right? Even free will is nothing but an illusion. Everyone is living in an illusion in that case. Oh my god, this is this is very absurd, bro. Okay, fine, never mind. But we have to stick out here. Don't start thinking about yourself being a fatalist or an existentialist or what. Fine, forget about that, right? All you have to think right now is, okay, this is what they are saying. Okay, fatalism wants a mythic doctrine. Mythic means something which is imaginary, right? Imaginary. Doctrine was what we have already done, that is principle, dogma and all that, right? Now find surprising echoes in scientific determinism. What is this scientific determinism? What does it say, determinism? It actually talks about some kind of, determinism actually says that everything that is happening or we do is something that has been, like, we are made to do those things. Okay, we cannot do it on our own. Fine. So this is basically, simply says, determinism actually says, I'll write it out here, no free will. So determinism says no, there is nothing like that. Every action, fine, every action that a person is doing is being caused because of some kind of something around, right? And it is not happening internally. Fine, it is something, the action is being caused from some external force or something like that, right? And that is why it is called as, it is not even a free will, right? So whatever you feel, how much ever you say that yes, you are free, you are actually not, as per this line. And in this scientific determinism, fatalism does find a place, right? Find surprising echoes, which means there are certain traits, or there are certain principles, ideologies which actually match with determinism. Okay. Yet fatalism is not merely a metaphysical puzzle. What is metaphysical? So metaphysical is basically some kind of abstract study, right? Um, More towards spiritual, supernatural, something like that, right? Something that can be speculative. Sometimes it is speculative as well. Fine, we talk about things by just assuming them. So that is also something like that. Fatalism is not merely a metaphysical puzzle. Okay, some people do take it as a puzzle. It has real social consequences. So there, now this time I can actually see the author is actually talking in for, like, advocating fatalism out here, right? He says what? It has real social consequences. Societies that lean towards fatalistic worldviews often cultivate passivity. Fine. So it has, they say, like, it does have effect. It might be positive, it might be negative, whatever it is, but it does have effect, right? societies that lean towards fatalistic worldviews. So if there's a part of society, the society, they are into fatalism, so they would actually cultivate means some kind of, it is growing into, evolving into what? Passivity. What is passivity? Inactivity. And which is somehow, you can easily associate it, right? You can easily see, like, when you know that this is what is going to happen, okay, if you know this, then what would happen? You would generally not try to change it. You would not even try to do anything, right? Because you feel that yes, it is going to happen on its own, because it is written. So when it is written in my destiny, why should I work towards it, right? Okay, so this is passivity is inaction, inactivity, right? Okay, let's go to the next thing. Discouraging resistance to injustice under the pretext that outcomes are meant to be. Fine. So this is basically, he's also giving his opinion out here. He says discouraging resistance, right? This is like not good. Something that he feels like this is quite discouraging. Okay, to injustice. So resistance to injustice. Why this is injustice? Because this is not justified. What you are doing when you become what? Inactive, not taking any action, right? Under the pretext. Under the pretext means when we start believing, okay, fine, this is what it is. This is the excuse, you can say, that outcomes are meant to be. Outcomes are meant to be means that was what was supposed to be, supposed to happen. So how can I go against it? That kind of a thought process, right? Conversely, on the other hand, controlled acceptance of inevitability. Controlled acceptance, which means I am acknowledging, I am accepting that yes, something is going to happen, which is inevitability, okay, can reduce anxiety. So, in that case, if you acknowledge, if you accept, but it should be controlled, that yes, it is going to happen, but then again, there has to be done about something about it, right? I can make it much better, I can make it much worse. It is up to me, right? Something like that. So it can actually reduce anxiety, allowing individuals to endure hardship. So when individuals would understand their the inevitable event that is going to happen, but they try to control it, what would happen? It would allow them to endure hardship. They would do some hard work out there, right? They would go through that struggle without paralysis. Without paralysis. So he's actually calling passivity is almost like paralysis, right? So when you're paralyzed, what happens? You don't act. You cannot act, right? Okay. The paradox of fatalism then lies in its double edge. So now he says that this irony about what? The irony about fatalism is actually that it is a double-edged sword, right? It is double-edged. What does it mean? It has got both pros and cons, right? Both the sides are there. It may either enslave the will. Either way, what is going to happen is your will is going to be completely slaved, right? Which means you would not have any will to work on, right? Because you're passive, right? You don't want to do anything because you feel that it is going to happen. Why do I urge to do something else, right? So that is, you are actually enslaving yourself, right? You are becoming a prisoner. Or provide psychological resilience, or maybe it can actually give you a boost that you must fight back, or your favorite word, the Gen Z word, bounce back. Okay, fine. So resilience is what? Resilience is when you come back, okay? You come back, you do something about it, right? Okay, next one. The future of fatalism may depend on how societies interpret it. So future of fatalism may depend, which means like whether fatalism is going to be there or not, will it be accepted by the society or not? It totally depends upon what? It depends on the society, okay? And their interpretation. So what is that? How societies interpret it in an age of uncertainty. Uncertainty, there is total uncertainty. We don't know what is going to happen the very next time. So that's why we have to see how the society would interpret fatalism. Like example is being given across, climate change. It is uncertain, right? Artificial intelligence, we really don't know where exactly it is going to head. and global instability, right? Somebody like every other day we are thinking like, okay, there is going to be a world war. There is somebody says like it is already going on, and it goes on. So there is instability out there, right? Often tempt people with fatalistic resignation. So this actually gives us that temptation. It gives us that thought process that, my God, no matter what I do, it is going to be whatever is written, it is going to be right. It's a French expression which says like que sera sera, which means what will be. So it's almost like that kind of a thought process, right? Okay. So they simply, what do? They endure it. They tolerate the fatalistic viewpoints. Okay. But if fatalism is reframed, so whose thought process is this? This is your author's thought process, right? What does he say? He says that if fatalism is reframed as acceptance without surrender. So, yes, okay, fine, this is going to happen. Okay, I accept it, but I will not surrender before it. I know that this is going to happen, but I'm not going to surrender for it. Surrender to it. Okay, it could coexist with agency. So, in that case, what is going to happen? Fatalism will be there, but with agency. Agency means the action. We would be taking the actions which are needed. Fostering humility, fostering, growing, giving birth to humility. What is humility? Modesty. Okay. About what cannot be controlled, fine, fatalism, right? While energizing commitment to what can. But then again, okay, fine, I cannot do this, but then again, I can at least do this, right? So there would be some action happening, right? It would not be just, a kind of a prey, a victim, waiting for the knife to come to him and kill him. And even when it is killing him, he would not be uh, fighting back, right? So this is not what they are saying. They are saying that fatalism should come across with action. We should fight back. Okay. Fatalism then need not foreclose freedom. So in that case, fatalism will not go against go against freedom. Okay, the free will. It may paradoxically sharpen it. And in the contrast, what is going to happen? Fatalism would rather sharpen the existentialism. Understood? So it was a nice thing. It's lovely to read all these paragraphs, right? Because there are so many things you learn from here. Okay, fine. So let's see the first paragraph. What was the summary? That it is the belief in predetermined outcomes appearing across ancient literature as a framework to find meaning in chaos. Okay, so this was the first thought process. What was the cluster reading about? It was, there was a definition out there, historical roots were there, and psychological role. Right. What is the keyword in this? Keywords are fatalism, because that is basically the main character in our story. Then we have got predetermined, inevitable, tragedy, Oedipus. Oedipus was basically the example given across out here. Oedipus was actually he was present in the Greek mythology, and he killed his father and married his own mother. No matter, and that was again accidental, right? So he at first he never wanted to kill his father, but somehow it happened. He never wanted to marry his mother, but somehow it happened. You understand what I'm trying to say? That things do happen on their own. Fine. So this is what was happening out there. So Oedipus, meaning in suffering. Fine, meaning in suffering. That was basically locate the meaning in suffering and inevitability in chaos. Fine. So what is it? There is a psychological need whenever we want to go across with fatalism, and we try to find a meaning in suffering and inevitability in chaos. So there is chaos in my life, but still I want to find out the meaning. Okay, through that negative phase. The second paragraph summary was philosophers and modern science debate fatalism versus free will. Fine, that was there. With neuroscience lending new weight to deterministic views, which also said that yes, fatalism does have a place in the modern society or science, right? Cluster reading was philosophical debate, modern science, determinism echoes. Keywords were agency, Stoics, existentialist, because it was actually being talked about, compared with this, right? And then we had Sartre, then we had neuroscience and determinism, right? Okay. Third, yet fatalism is not merely a. Oh, sorry, why are we reading it again? So we have to do the summary part. What does the summary part say? Fatalism shapes societies and individuals. Yeah. So it was actually talking about that. Though it is not a puzzle. It has real social consequences. Fine. So it has got consequences. It can encourage passivity. So the consequence is a bit negative. It can actually make people paralyzed, right? It can paralyze people, but also provide resilience against hardships. But then again, it provides us with what? The power of bouncing back. Fine. Cluster, social effect, passivity versus resilience, and then there was a paradox. Keywords: social consequences, passivity, injustice, inevitability, paradox, and resilience, right? Okay. The last paragraph, the future of this thing, fatalism, was talked about. Fatalism's future depends on whether it leads to resignation or is reframed as a balance of acceptance and agency. So the last paragraph was basically talking about how fatalism can actually become a part of the life, right? Cluster reading, modern uncertainty, it was talked about. Fatalist temptation, possible reframe, the reframe, yeah. Okay, and the keywords are future, climate change, AI, resignation, acceptance, agency, freedom. Okay, fine. Climate and AI were basically the examples that were given across to drive the point, right? Okay. Now, let's start with the question and see whether we can go about with this. Which of the following titles best captures the essence of the passage? Is it Fatalism, the End of Freedom? No, it was not. It was actually coexisting. So A part cannot be my answer. Let's go to the B part. From Oedipus to AI, the journey of fatalism. No, it was not. Rather, AI, it was talked about that future of fatalism may depend on how societies interpret it, right? It was used in that. Oedipus to Mahabharat, it was talked about. So definitely it is not present out there. See, the double-edged nature of fatalism. Can we talk about that? Yes, definitely we can talk about that. Because on one hand, it is what? It gives you uh, some kind of passivity, but on the other hand, it also makes you resilient, right? So it has a good and a negative side to it. D part. Why science proves fatalism correct? That is not the complete passage, right? So D part does not work out. C is the better option. Question number two: what is the tone of the passage? Was it dismissive? Was it analytical? Was it alarmist? Was it detached? See, I don't even have to go to the next one, right? I would go across to the next word only if we can remove, like we can actually say the first word is working. Dismissive, it was not. Alarmist is what? Someone who is cautioning the world, right? Somebody who's saying like this is very wrong, this should not be. So he's cautioning everyone. So definitely is not happening out here. He's not saying that fatalism is actually wrong or it should not be there, right? So definitely alarmist is not the answer. Detached, was he detached? Was he ignorant about fatalism? No, he has provided his ideas as well. So the only answer is B, analytical and balanced, right? Why balanced? Because he actually calls it as a two-edged sword, right? It has got two sides to it, and it can be used as positive and negative both. So that is why it is quite balanced. Third question: what is the function of paragraph one? So what is the function of paragraph one? Is it to critique fatalism as outdated? Definitely not. It was not said so. B, to define fatalism and show its historical persistence. Okay, they did talk about fatalism, right? They defined it in this, and after that, what happened? Show its historical persistence. Yes, Oedipus, Mahabharat, it is already there, so I cannot remove B right now. Fine. So what next? C, to show neuroscience has proven fatalism true. Hmm. Is it in the first paragraph though? No, it is not. It is basically written across in the second paragraph, so it does not have anything to do with the first one. C part goes away. To argue fatalism is harmful for society. It was not. It simply said it has got real social consequences, and they are both positive and negative. So D part cannot be my answer. B is the right answer. Fine. Let's move on to the next one. The word haunted in paragraph 1 most nearly means what? Now, this is a good question because haunted can have a very different meaning, maybe as per the context, right? Let's see. Uh, is it literally inhabited by ghost? Now, of course, it is saying literally. Now, just has haunted human thought uh, since antiquity. So, definitely, we are not talking about the real ghost out here. No. Fine. Haunted is something which is like continuously coming across, right? The word is persistently troubled or influenced. Fine. So persistent, it is talking about continuous thing. Okay, I can keep this. Completely disproved human thought since antiquity. No, this is not the thing. Celebrated joyously, definitely not. It is not a positive word. So answer has to be B part. That consistently it has troubled or it has influenced us. Fine. So some way or the other, it has always been in our life. Okay. Next part. Uh, I did the fourth one, right? Okay, let's do the fifth one. What happens? Existentialists argue fatalism is self-deception. So the people who are existentialists, they feel that fatalism is nothing but what? Self deception. Okay. Which of the following, if true, strengthens their position? So let's see what strengthens. People often surrender responsibility by blaming destiny. Okay, this can definitely be an answer because what is it? They are just deceiving themselves by saying that no, it is not me, it is because of the destiny, right? It is all because it was written out there. So, yes, this can definitely strengthen the thought process. Let's have the B part. Neuroscience shows free will is an illusion. How can this strengthen this thought process? So, B part goes away. C. Stoics promoted acceptance of fate. Again, Stoics promoted acceptance of fate does not what does not strengthen the existentialists, right? It is just an idea of the Stoics. So that's why C part goes away. D says fatalism helps people cope with hardship. So in that case, I cannot call it as self-deception, right? So that's why D part also goes away. The only option that is left with us is A. Fine. Nice question this was. Question number 6. What can be inferred from the passage's treatment of neuroscience? Okay. So what does it say? Passage's treatment of neuroscience. How the passage treated neuroscience. Okay. So as per that, what would be the tone or what is basically the author's viewpoint about neuroscience? This is what we are talking about out here. So it says science fully disproves fatalism. So on one hand, it is being said that science fully disproves fatalism. Is it so? No, definitely not. So A part goes away, right? B. Neuroscience introduces new arguments that echo deterministic ideas. Yes, definitely we are talking about that, which was out there. It says surprising echoes in scientific determinism, right? So new ideas have come across that are echoing deterministic ideas. So we can keep this. C part. Philosophers no longer debate fatalism. No, nothing was mentioned. Brain chemistry confirms absolute freedom. Definitely not. Rather, it said that brain chemistry and neuroscience actually says that if fatalism is not there, then if it is an illusion, then even freedom is nothing but, or free will is nothing but an illusion. So, which is the only option that is correct? The answer has to be B. So you can very well make it out that how well and how quick these questions can happen. And if you read with focus, with concentration, so it would be very less chances that you have to go back to the passage to confirm yourself, right? So let's move on. Question number 7. The phrase self-deception as used in paragraph 2 refers to. So what is self-deception in paragraph 2? So there was this. Here, fatalism as self-deception. So let's see what can be the answer for this. Trickery by external forces. Self-deception is trickery by external forces, then why would it be self? So A part goes away. Uh, B part says illusions people create to avoid responsibility. This can be self-deception, right? So you're deceiving yourself by putting the blame on something else, right? A form of political propaganda. No, definitely not. Cannot be political. Too narrow. Honest recognition of human limits. Sorry, that cannot be my answer. So that's why D part is not the answer, because it is not talking about the recognition of human limits, right? So the answer is B. Fine. Okay. Eighth. What is the function of paragraph 3 in the overall passage? To present fatalism's social consequence and paradoxical effects. Okay, this can actually be an answer. So I have to keep it. Why? Because it says fatalism's social consequences. So it did says that it has real social consequences. So this can be a part. Next part, the paradoxical effects. What was the paradox? Uh, the paradox of fatalism. Clearly mentioned. So A part will stay. B part, to provide historical examples of fatalism. Historical out here is not given across. Historical was given across in the first paragraph. So B part goes away. To resolve the free will versus determinism debate. No, it was not about that. So C part, it is not resolving anything. Rather, it is simply telling us that it does have an effect on societies, right? Okay. D part, to argue fatalism is only harmful. No, only one answer, that is A. See, things are easy when you read, right? When you read with intent. Okay, 9. The author claims fatalism may breed passivity. Fine. Which of the following, if true, weakens this claim? So, this is a good one because they have actually given you the sentence, right? Many a time they would not even give you the sentence. They would simply ask you that which of the following would weaken author's claim. So you have to see what was author's claim, and as per that, which one is weakening it, right? So good one. Let's see. Fatalistic societies often produce reform movements. If fatalistic societies produce reform movements, fine, then it, of course, it cannot be passivity, right? Because when I say that fatalism is breeding passivity, why would they come across with the reform movements? They would just lie down, stay, right, and let the things happen, right? So can this be my answer? Yes, of course. Why? Because this one is not strengthening the idea, right? So automatically, if it is not strengthening, it would be weakening the answer. So I can keep A part, right? So remember this, okay? B part. Many cultures use myth to explain fate. So does it create passivity? It does not. So B part is not near the scope. Neuroscience confirms brain-based determinism. Brain-based determinism. Why would it work for or against passivity? It would not. So C part goes away. Stoicism advises acceptance of destiny. So if I say this, Stoicism advises acceptance of destiny, then in that case, it would actually not weaken, rather strengthen this idea, right? So I cannot have this. The answer for ninth is A. Fine. Good. Let's come across for the last question of the day. The word paradox in paragraph 3 refers to. Okay, let's see. Where is paragraph 3? We have got the paradox. Okay, fine. A statement that has no meaning, first thing. A contradiction that holds true. A a falsehood invented for literature, a rule of science. Fine. So, what is paradox? A statement that has no meaning? Definitely not. It says paradox of fatalism then lies in the double edge. Double edge, which means if I'm talking about double edge, which means it can be irony or it can be contradiction. And therefore, the only option that is possible is B part. Fine. So, guys, I hope we are reaching out to our best results. Fine. More and more to come across. Stay tuned with us. Until next time, take care.